Hello and welcome to this webinar by Eggplant, formerly Testplant, where I want to introduce you to our disruptive software testing solution, Eggplant AI. My name is Sam Moroney and I work in the Alliances team here at Eggplant, where my aim is to enable end users of the software with Eggplant to drive services revenue for our partners. I'm going to be joined by Max Gerard, the technical manager here at Eggplant, who's going to deliver a demonstration of Eggplant AI, where he's going to introduce you to how to use it, followed by which you will have an opportunity to explore the software for yourself through a free trial. And the purpose of this webinar is really to get you excited about Eggplant AI and how it can benefit you as an individual, and how it can make your life easier and how it can make you more valuable to your company. But first, what I want to do is just give you a bit of context about the story and the background behind Eggplant AI, to help you understand where we see QA at present and where we see the future of QA and testing and automation heading. So from our research, testing teams have told us that there is really a need for change. Teams tell us that they cannot keep up with the expectations of the users or the pace at which DevOps is expected to progress. Release cycles of applications are expected too quick, and this could mean one of two things. One being that significant parts of applications are not tested prior to release due to the release schedule, which leads to many bugs and defects being found in post-production, or alternatively, release cycles aren't met because the entire application hasn't been tested. So deadlines are moved back to try and reach a sufficient level of testing. We see the issues of testing at the moment is that it's still very much stuck in the past. Testing is structured and regimented using old techniques which haven't moved with the pace of software and the expectations of software around user experience. Nowadays we understand that software is designed to delight the users and the people who will be using the software. Whereas years ago it was seen as more of testing the code just to see if the code would work. Teams are still running these regression packs against applications to find bugs, testing the happy journeys as opposed to how the user would actually use the application. It is still seen as very much as a rubber stamp tick box exercise, which is seen as a cost center to the business. It's something that they have to do, and it's something that they do quite passively. What we see QA and where we see it heading is to be more business assurance. How if you get your QA right, you can deliver these amazing digital experiences for the customers and the users. Where if you get it right, you know that you can get, say, 5 stars in the App Store upon it being released. And to do this, we need to use a more intelligent and intuitive approach to testing to really understand how we can automatically create tests to ensure that goals are met and continuously monitor these business goals in post-production after the app has been launched to see if these goals have been met. So how we're doing this is around our suite called the Digital Automation Intelligence Suite, and it really ties into what I've mentioned previously about looking for a more intelligent way of using the information that is out there and the solutions that are out there to deliver these amazing digital experiences for the users. Test automation at the moment means the execution of test scripts, which is where we're at now. There's many solutions out there in the market, including Eggplant Functional, which focuses on the execution as test scripts. But for true test automation, we've identified 8 steps which need to be included. This is from defining and creating test scripts to using the feedback and the data that's collected in post-production to funnel it through to future releases, and to understand if the business goals have been met. So what will be demoed shortly is Eggplant AI, which is really the brains behind the whole digital automation intelligence suite. You'll see its model-based approach and how it is possible to visit many different iterations the user could possibly visit, rather than the structured approach presently used today. Moving away from testing the happy paths to simulating the real user journeys that users could actually take, and while also increasing the test coverage and also the quality of test coverage as well. By happy paths we mean a linear way of testing where, say, at present you would test a login page and then they would choose an item and then they would log out and they would pay on an e-commerce app. But a real user, we understand, would maybe log in, choose an item, go to pay, then go back, choose another item, and choose a few other items, wait for 20 seconds, and then decide to log out. So it's all about understanding that users don't use applications in the linear way which we test from at the moment. There needs to be a more fluid and user-like way of testing. Now, with this increased test coverage, it is important that we use this information, using it to guide the AI and the machine learning, as there's too much to process manually because test coverage has increased. So we should look to funnel the information from historic trends, so we can have a more structured, more intelligent way of testing in the future. And it's really using this information. One thing that we're looking at releasing soon in our analytics update is having a release readiness dashboard, and this will be able to predict whether if your app is ready to be released, and if it is going to achieve the 5 stars in the App Store that you would hope that your investment gets you. And now moving on, you might have seen that we recently acquired NCC Group's web performance division, and what we've acquired here is a piece of software which really ties into our vision for the digital automation intelligence suite. And it's using a real user and synthetic monitoring, where we're looking to shift right on the testing spectrum. This solution is able to assess what happens in post-production to provide a greater amount of feedback to the model. For example, one way that you could use the real user monitoring is if you see that in post-production, when the app's being used on an e-commerce app, for example, you see that you're getting a greater rate of conversions or sales on iOS rather than Android. So if we're able to go back and look at how this part has been tested and if they are getting the same experience, we're going to be able to prioritize future test runs if there's areas where improvements can be made there. And I guess this really ties into the vision again. And what we're really trying to do with business assurance is move up or shift up from DevOps to Biz DevOps, where we take into account the positive business outcomes when looking at how we are going to use QA, to really meet these business goals. And it's all about optimization of the customer experience using AI, analytics and real user monitoring, moving away from the passive dull exercise of running the same regression pack, but being more creative and more intelligent of the information that's out there and the solutions that are out there to meet the needs. And where does this leave you as a user of the software? And why should you learn to use Eggplant? And why should you become skilled with it? Well, it's a really exciting new tool, and it's quite a cool technology that uses AI and is really on the cutting edge of testing. We're recognised by Gartner as a visionary for our vision and where we see QA heading. As you will see demoed shortly, it shows really how easy it is to use the model-based approach, which can be used by analysts and Selenium users alike. And one of the really beautiful things about automation is that you can do a lot more with a lot less. What I mean by this is that you're able to generate a lot greater test coverage with a lot less effort. So this in turn makes you more valuable to your company, and it would also make you more profitable to your business as well. Interestingly, we have integrations which can utilize your existing skill sets, Selenium being one of them, other ones being listed here. And what we're really trying to do is reduce testing time tenfold, and we've seen examples of that happening. End users have more time, and the clients are happy because there's more profit to be made. What we also really want to drive home that automation is not here to replace people. The quantity and the quality of test coverage really makes you more valuable to the business, and it frees up your time for more skilled tasks. We have the product, but there are three P's to business, and that is product, people, and processes. And that's where we look to utilize our partners for the people and processes aspects of that. And what we'd like to highlight is that automation is coming. Becoming certified and being able to use Eggplant is a real opportunity to get trained early on and be part of the journey. Right now I am going to pass over to our technical consultant Max Gerard, who will guide you through the demonstration, following which you'll have our information to follow up and be invited for a trial. And the Eggplant AI certification is also being launched in the coming months as well, so you'll be sure to get an email about that. Okay, thanks for your time. I'm going to pass over to Max.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Eggplant AI demonstration. So today we're going to talk about the setup of Eggplant AI, how we can create a model, how we can link that model to Eggplant Functional, run the model, look at some results, and then I'll go and run a pre-written model against another application. So let's just talk about the setup we've just got here on screen now. So on the left-hand side, I've got the Eggplant AI application itself. And as you can see here, this is accessed through a web browser. And on the right-hand side, I've got the screen of a mobile device that we're going to create a model against today. And you can see that I'm in full control of this device here. Incidentally, this screen here on the right is the viewer window from Eggplant Functional. I won't be focusing too much on Eggplant Functional in this demonstration, but just understand that Eggplant Functional is the automation tool used to go and drive the systems under test. So the first thing to do is to go ahead and show you how to start creating a model. So we've got a blank canvas here on the left, and if you just right click on the grid over here, you'll see that we've got some different things we can go and do. The two I'd like to focus on here are new states and new action. So let me first of all talk about what a state is. So a state is just really a screen of the application, or the application within a certain state. So for example, a state would be this screen here. So we might call this the Marks and Spencer's home screen. Now within a state we can do different actions. So within this state here, on the right we could do a search, we could go and click on Shop Now, we could click any of the buttons here, we could scroll up, we could scroll down. So really an action is something you can do against the system under test. So let's go ahead and now create a new state. So you can see now we've got the state over here, and this is going to be our start state. And we're just going to call this, let's just call it initial state, which in this case will just go and be our device being on the home screen like so. So now within that initial state, we want to go ahead and create an action. So if we now just go ahead and right click here, and then click here on new action, you'll see that an action appears within the state. And this is a very simple one. We're just going to go and launch the Marks and Spencer's application. So we'll say here, launch M&S. So now that launch M&S, well, launching M&S will do this, which will take us into the home of the application. So now we're going to create another state, and this state here is going to be called home page. And again, within this state here, there are multiple actions we can do. So let's create a new action, and let's say the first one here that we're going to do is say search for an item, which would just be clicking on the search button here and typing in an item. We'll create another action here, and we'll call this say select shop now, which we'll go and click this button here. So we'll say select shop now. And then let's go to a third action, and we'll go ahead and call this a BM underscore stores, BM standing for bottom menu, and stores being this button over here. You'll notice here we can actually go ahead and arrange the model to be in any formats that we like, as you can see over here. So the next thing we want to go and do now is go and add the link. So Launch M&S takes us into homepage, so we can now go and say connection selection, click on homepage, and you can see there that an arrow takes us into the homepage. So the Launch M&S action will take us into the homepage state. And within the homepage state, we could search for an item, we could click shop now, and we can go click on the bottom menu. Now you'll notice here that for the purposes of a demonstration, I'm not going to be modelling every possible action we can do. So one of the advantages of using something like Eggplant AI is you don't need to create a model for the whole application, unlike other modelling tools. You can pick and choose which bits of the application are most important to you at that particular time, and then build on the model as you go. So the next thing I want to do now is we need to go and create another state. And let's say we go and create the state that happens when we select search item over here. So we can right click here, click on new state. And so when we do a search item, okay, I'll just go and do the search item now. And let's say we go and search for something. We come to this screen, which we're going to go ahead and call item list. So now we can go ahead and do our search item, and then go and link that action to the item list state, like so. And then within item list, well, there are multiple things we can do. We can create a new action here, and we can just go here. We might want to just scroll up randomly, and we want to create another action here. We might just call this, say, scroll down. So we'll put scroll up and scroll down over here. We might then want to go and do another action here, which we'll go and call, say, add to basket. So we'll go and add an item to the basket. And then finally, maybe we could go ahead and go back to the home screen. We'll go and click on this button here to take us back to the home screen. So we'll do new action, put this over here, and we'll just call this BM underscore home screen. Okay, and now BM home screen takes us back into the home page, like so. So you can see how the model is starting to sort of take form now. So let's go back to our home page, and one of the other actions we've got here is clicking on the bottom menu stores button over here. So if I go click on that now, that takes us into the store search screen state. So we'll create a new state here, and we'll just call this, say, store search screen. Okay, and then we'll just go and do the link. So we'll do BM stores, and then we'll go link to store search screen, like so. And then, of course, within that state, a few actions we can do. We can go to a new action, and we can just go back to the home page. So we can just call this, say, BM underscore home screen. And another action we might want to go and do is actually go and do a search for a store. So we'll just go ahead and do this called, let's call it, say, select store. Okay. And, of course, home screen, this will take us back into home page like so. So now we can go do what happens after select store. Well, let's say we go and select a store now. We'll just go and type in one here to take us into the next state. We'll just go and do a search over here. So now we're just in the select store state over here. So we'll just go ahead and let's say we go and call this, create a new state. And we just call this, say, let's say, specific store, for example, and then we can go here. So we can go link select store, and that can go to specific store. We can go and add a bunch of actions in here. We could just say simple action back to store search screen, and that will of course take us back to store search screen, as you can see there. And then we might also want to go and do, well, let's say we want to go ahead and get some directions. Okay, so let's say, for example, we go and select the store here. Okay, and actually should be on this screen here, and this is the specific store screen. We can go back to search screen, or we can go create a new action here, and this could go ahead and be directions. So directions is going to link us to another state, and this will be our final state. So we'll create a new state here, and this is just going to be called Apple Maps. Apple Maps. Okay, there will actually be one more state, I did forget about that. So we go into Apple Maps, and then directions can go take us into Apple Maps, as you can see over here. And the actions we can do here, well, we could just go to back to M&S, so we say back to M&S. And then we could go and create one more action here, and then we could just say navigate trip, and this will go ahead and take us into Apple Maps. Okay, so back to M&S, that of course takes us to a specific store, as you can see here. Now there was one more action that we haven't linked to a state here, which is here called select shop now. Now the state that takes us into, if we go back to the home screen now, is here. So this is just called the shop now screen, or the shop now state. So we'll create a new state here, just move that up there. I'll just call this a shop now. And within that, there's a couple of things we can do. We could select the line that we want to go into, whether it be women's, lingerie, men's, etc. So we go here, do an action called select line. And this actually takes you into item list, so we can go here and say item list. Oh, let me just adjust the spelling of that there, shop now. And then the second action we could do is nearest store. So we could go here and do new action, and I can go here and just call this a nearest store. And nearest store takes me into store search screen. So I can go here. So you can see now how easy it is to go and build a model for the application up. And we built a pretty, in a very, very short space of time, a pretty complex model that will let us go ahead and search for items. We're going to the home page, we're searching for a store, we're going into another application called Apple Maps. And so all the complexity is actually built into the model. So in a moment you'll go and see that the Eggplant functional scripts we write are really, really short. So now that we've gone ahead and created the model, what we can do now is we need to go and attach in the snippets for each action. Each action has some snippets that we need to run. So we can just expand the screen for now. And you might be able to see here that there's a left menu over here. And we can see here we've got snippets. Now these snippets, these are just little parts of bits of code that are from Eggplant functional. So actually, before we go ahead and actually add the snippets in, I'm just going to show a really quick 3-step script in Eggplant functional, just so you can get an idea of how the Eggplant functional tool works. So let's go ahead and click on New Suite here. I'll just save this to my desktop, and we'll just call this, say, live demo script. Click Save, and then this is the Suite window here. So all I'm going to do is show you very quickly how to do a simple recording inside Eggplant functional. So let's go click on the script drop down here, click on New Script, and I'll just call this, say, Demo. And we're going to go into capture mode now, and I'm going to record a script. Now you notice when I'm in capture mode, I can start selecting areas of the screen. These areas that I'm selecting, these are images which we can capture using Eggplant. So we don't look at object IDs, we don't look at bitmap labels. Eggplant purely looks at pixels on the screen to drive the test, which means that we don't care what the underlying technology is, whether it's an iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, Linux. As long as we can get a VNC or an RDP connection to the device, we can go ahead and record a script. So let's go ahead and say do a click command to open the app. So you'll notice here I've selected an image of the app. I'll select the commands I want to do, which in this case is a click. I'll just go ahead and call this image, say, app icon, and then we'll just go ahead and click on save. And every time we do this process of selecting an image and selecting an action, 3 things happen. First is the image is saved here inside your image repository. Secondly, the line of code is added into your script. And thirdly, as you can see here, the action is performed, and you can see here that the application is opened. Now, everything we do in Eggplant functional is purely from a user's perspective. So if a user would say click on their app, or a tester would, they'll want to go and verify that the application has actually opened. So a good thing to do in this scenario, maybe to go and say wait for this M&S banner here to appear. Because I know that when this appears, it's a really good confirmation that the application is opened. So I'll select the image here, click here on wait for to wait for it to appear. and I'll just go ahead and call this, say, M and S banner. And I can actually adjust the maximum wait time for this wait for command. And the way this works is, if the image is found within the maximum wait time, the script will just carry on straight away. And if it takes more than the maximum wait time, Eggplant will throw you an error message, as well as give you an automatic screen capture, so that you can very easily understand exactly what went wrong in the test. So again, I click Save there, line of code is added into my script, and the image is saved inside my image repository. Now for the first two actions there, I've done everything through the screen, but we also have access to all of the buttons on the mobile device as well. So things like the home button, menu, volume, whatever it might be, we can access. So let's say we want to go back to the home screen. We can just click here on the home button, line of code is added into my script, and you can see there that we're back on the home screen. And if I wanted to start typing in the code myself, I could just go ahead and say wait for the app icon to appear here. So if I go run my script now, you can see we click on the M&S application, verify that it's opened, and then close it. I just wanted to give you a brief idea of how the Eggplant functional tool works and how to record a simple script. Now before we go back to Eggplant AI and show you how we can link our Eggplant functional code to the model, I just want to go ahead and show you some of the little snippets of code here. Now, the actions that we've created are all going to be linked to one of the snippets that you see here on the left-hand side. So you can see here one called back to M&S, one called back to store search screen. I'm just going to scroll through these now, and you can see how short these lines of code are. Because as I said earlier, all the complexity is contained within the model. So not only does the model automate huge amounts of your test cases for you, it actually simplifies your sense-talk code and forces you to modularize and reuse code. So really, for all of that model, we've probably written in the region of 100 lines of code. I mean, very, very little. And yet we're going to be doing all of these complex things. But let's go ahead and minimize the scripts now. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you, well, how can we go and link the model to the Eggplant functional snippets? Well, you'll notice that there's actually a snippet section here. And these are all the little snippets of code that are inside Eggplant functional. If you want to go point Eggplant AI towards your Eggplant suite, you just go and adjust the EPF or Eggplant functional suite location here. And you can see, there it is. So you can see now, let's go and add in the snippet. So for launch M&S, well, I just select my action. I go to the launch M&S snippets and I go click on add selected. And I do the exact same thing for all of these particular actions. Now I've just named the actions and the snippets as the same name. They could be different. It's just for simplicity here that I've gone ahead and done that. So we can go ahead and say select shop now, and then go and do add to basket. Scroll down. If we go to scroll down over here, and then go to scroll up, and then home screen, and then go and select line, which is going to select our line item, nearest store, home screen, select store, back to search screen, directions, back to M&S, and finally navigate trip. So now we've added in all the snippets. So each of these actions is now linked to an Eggplant functional snippet. Now, one thing we haven't done yet is parameterize any of the functions. Now, there are really three things we're going to parameterize. The first is we're going to parameterize the searching of an item. The second thing is we're going to parameterize the selecting of a line, one of our line items. And the third thing we're going to do is going to parameterize the selecting of a store. So let's go and do that. So let's go click on our Shop Now action. Now you'll notice here on the right hand side there is an action variable setting. So we can go and add in a variable. So we're going to create new here, and then we can go and edit this variable. And I'll just go ahead and call this, and beg your pardon, actually we're meant to be doing search item, so I can just go to search item here, and then go ahead and click on new variable over here, and then right click here, and then just go ahead and call this, say, search item list, and then go and adjust this and just say this is a set. You can see here we've got different variable types. A variable could be true or false, it could just be some text, or in this case we're going to make it a set or a property list. And then we're going to click here on new, and we're going to select the particular items that we want. So in this case, the search items, for the purpose of the demo, we're just going to make them flowers, bread. Okay, and obviously we can list out many more there if we wanted. And we can introduce a weighting onto the search, so we could go and say, well, I want there to be a 1 in 4 chance of it being flowers and a 3 in 4 chance of it being bread. For now, we're just going to keep the weighting even for each of the search items. Now, once we've gone ahead and added in the variable, we need to go and attach that variable to the snippet and pass it in. So we can now go and say, pass in as an input that particular variable over here. So the next thing we'll want to go ahead and do is go and add in the variable for the store. So we can go here, say select store, new variable, and just go and right click here, and then go and click edit variable details, and just go and say store names. And again, we're going to go ahead and do a set, and then do a new, and then the value we're going to go ahead and give to this, well, in this case, we're going to have it be Brixton and Fulham. And then go ahead and click OK. And again, we need to go and link that variable that we've created to the particular snippets by going over here. And the final one we're going to go and do is our line. So we're going to do select line, and then we're going to create a new variable here. Edit, call this, say, line list. Then go ahead and select set, click new, and then our line is going to be beauty and home. And finally, we'll just go ahead and add in the variable to the snippet. So now what we can go and do is we can go and talk about the weightings for each action. I've talked about briefly the weightings for the variables, but actually weightings are also used for each action. So if you go and select the actions here, you'll notice that there's a weight for each one. Now by default, each action within a state is given the same weight. So every one has got the same probability of occurring when we go ahead and actually run the model. But if you wanted to, say, adjust the select shop now action and go ahead and make that more likely, we might go and increase the weighting for this particular variable, for this particular action. Sorry. The one thing I haven't done here is I haven't gone ahead and created the link. So select shop now actually needs us to take us into shop now. Sorry about that. I did just miss that particular link over there. Okay, so now we've got the model and we've got the. So let's just briefly talk about what we've done here. We've created a model. We've including all some of the states and the actions. We've then gone ahead and linked the model using snippets to the Eggplant functional code. We've then gone and added in the variables for the model, and we've talked about how we can adjust the weighting so that different actions can have different probabilities. So at this point, I think we're really at the point now where we can go and run the model. Now, just before we do that, one thing I'd like to mention here is sort of a part of the AI that's built into Eggplant Functional. So the first, you could go and adjust the weightings to define which bits of the model you want to be most likely to go and be hit. And what you would do for this is you might use the company data that you have to say, well, most users go down this path, and so we're going to adjust the weightings for the actions to make it more likely that we go down those other paths. The other thing that Eggplant AI is doing in the background is seeing which paths are causing trouble and giving us failed tests, and then making it more likely to go down those particular paths. So Eggplant AI is optimizing for the model to go and allow it to find as many bugs as possible. So let's go ahead and actually run the model now. So I'm going to bring my mobile device back on screen here, and we're just going to go ahead and click this button here, which is play the model. So you can see now the model will start playing, and all we've just done there is create a model for the application, and it's running. Very, very simple. Okay, so now we're on the home screen. You can see we're going to go and do a search. Now, one thing you can see here is that we actually highlight the screen which we are currently on in the model. So you can see which action is actually being performed. So as the model's running, you can see that this time we're going to go ahead and scroll down, and you can see we're just doing a random path through the model. Now, as that's running, you can see here the log that occurs. This is the Eggplant functional log that appears on screen. This log is just letting you know the actions that are happening. So we've gone and added that item to the basket. And so if we just move this over here now, you can see now this time we're going to go ahead and scroll up. And now we're going to go back to the home screen. And then once we've gone back to the home screen, we're going to go ahead and go into the store. Okay. So you can see now that we're actually just doing all these paths that a user wouldn't usually do. We're going back and forth, scrolling up, scrolling down, and we're just testing the application as a real user would go and do it. So a real user wouldn't go through a nice happy path through the application. They might go and search for a store, they might then add an item into their basket, they might then go and try and shop for something in the sale like we're doing here in the Shop Now button. And Eggplant AI is giving you a really, really simple way with which to go and automate all of those particular test cases. Now you'll notice here, this particular model, we didn't actually put an exit on it. So what we should have done here, we should have gone to navigate trip, and we can go and link this to an exit. So what we can go and do now, we can actually just go ahead and click here on abort, and that will go ahead and stop the running of the model. And so obviously, what we were doing there was just going to run the model forever. Actually, within navigate trip, what you would want to go ahead and do is you would want to go ahead and add a cleanup here. So you can go here, and then we can go ahead and go to cleanup. We can go ahead and just go and go to here, and then go and make this add this to cleanup. And then the cleanup, we can go ahead and add this snippet, which is going to be our cleanup snippet. So if you went ahead and actually ran the model again, what you'll see this time, we'll go ahead and kill the application, and this time eventually we'll go ahead and get to an exit, and we should go and be able to see some results within Eggplant AI. So at this point, what I would ask is, are there any questions from anyone? So obviously what I'm saying now wouldn't be part of the demo. We would just allow the test to go ahead and run. One note to say about this video, this cleanup really should have been added at the very start, but as you can see here, very easy to recover from something like that. You can just say click abort and just make it out as if you'd planned to go ahead and do it. So hopefully, while this is running, we'd have a few questions being asked. If there wasn't, you might go ahead and talk immediately about the results. So now we can go ahead and look at some results. So if we now go to the coverage report here, this is going to give us a report on that particular one. It's going to tell us, well, how many of the actions did we go ahead and hit? So you can see here, we went and did back M&S and navigate trip, and you can go and let's have a look at this state here. Looks like we never went and selected a line. So you can see in a particular test run which of the actions we went and performed. And it looks like here, if we just go ahead and collapse everything, we did a good percentage of all of the actions we wanted to do. If we then go into coverage report and view heat map, you can see within that particular test run where we went. So we did everything in item list, we did everything in Apple Maps, we never went to select 9, and we never went back out of here, but you can sort of see the journey that we went ahead and took. If we now go to run report, you can see here we've got a past run, and we might want to go and export that result into a CSV file or an XML file, and you can see here we had a total of 72% coverage within that particular run. So now let me go ahead and show you a slightly more complex model. So let's go ahead and open this up now. We're just going to go ahead and open model, and then we're going to go ahead and go to a BT model, British Telecom. Now this is going to run against a desktop machine. So not only can the modelling be done against mobile, desktop, we support anything that Eggplant Functional supports. So let's go ahead and just go and connect into our Windows desktop machine over here. And we can see now that's displayed on the right hand side. And let's just go ahead and run this model now. You can see we've got quite a few more states in here and different actions, but again, we're still just looking at the screens as states and saying, well, what actions can we do here? We're just creating the actions we want to do, and then we're linking those to the snippets. So I'm really, really excited about this tool, and I hope that's been a demonstration which you can all understand nice and easily. If there were any further questions at this point after showing this, I would allow those to go and be shown, and then that would complete the demonstration.
Okay, great. Thanks to Max for delivering the demonstration, and thank you to everybody for joining. I hope you found the presentation and our messaging interesting, and I hope you got an opportunity to understand where we see the future of testing heading and really how it can benefit you. Eggplant AI is an interesting new tool which can really make you more valuable to your company, and it can also make you more profitable to your customers as well. What we'd love to do is get you started on some trial licenses of Eggplant AI, which you can register for in the link which I'm going to send in the follow-up email. We'd also love to invite you for certification in our software. At present, there isn't a AI certification, but we do have Eggplant Functional certification, which is free and easy to do online in your own time, and it's a really good base to build upon for when the Eggplant AI certification comes out. And please, if you have any questions, please follow up with me on email here. It's sam.moroney@eggplantio.io, and I'd love to put you in the right direction of finding you support to getting you the answers to your questions and getting you started on the trial licenses as well. Okay, thanks for joining today. I'm going to end it here, and please follow up offline if you do have any questions.